Quant QNT is one of those projects that I feel as though a lot of you probably think that I've given up on it. I've completely ignored it. I'm not even looking at QNT anymore. Nobody cares about QNT. And that's what the sentiment has been around QNT for a while now. And I feel as though the reason why that is simply because of the price action compared to projects like, for example, XRP or even XLM or some of the other top gainers. I mean, just for reference, if we actually look at the last year on QNT, we're up about 10.77%. And if we compare that to XRP, I mean, XRP is up over 500% in the last year. And even if we go look at the last month, I mean, XRP did roughly over a 60% move, while, QNT is only up about 7.7%. So if we're really looking at this, we're waiting for something to happen here on QNT. But I don't want you guys to lose focus here, because although, yes, it hasn't been a tremendous mover in the last, year or so, look at the all-time chart on this thing. We are now having a little bit of a spike. We're chopping to the side, waiting for that next big move. I don't want to go back here to like 2021 and say, well, look at what QNT did, for a little bit of time here before it went absolutely crazy. But that's kind of exactly where we're at right now. I mean, even if you really looked at something like XRP that has had a tremendous move in the market, I mean, this thing went sideways all throughout the bear market for well over 2+ years before this big move to the upside, which it feels as though QNT is doing that right now, where it's kind of just brewing and building for a big move to the upside. And once we do finally get that move, I think that that's when a lot of people kind of start saying, all right, well, maybe this is the real deal. Maybe I shouldn't have, said, all right, well, I'm kind of ignoring this thing. It's not doing anything, because I've seen that mistake happen so many times in the space. But we have a lot to talk about when it comes to QNT. So with that being said, sit back, relax. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. And also, before we dive on into everything, Caleb and Brown, guys, if you guys want to utilize an exchange that you can trust, that's available in the US, that's completely regulated, 24/7 customer support. I hear a lot of great stories about Caleb and Brown from a lot of you out there that have utilized their service. I've been messing around with their service for a little bit of time. I'm really enjoying it. If you guys do want to go check them out, you guys are more than welcome to. Again, you can trial it, use it, see if you guys like it. There's going to be a link down in the description below under the exchanges tab. Sign up. I'm telling you guys, you won't regret it. It's probably one of the best exchanges out there, especially in the US, especially around the space. That's now starting to look as though we're becoming regulated. So you want to tap in to, exchanges that that you can trust, that are regulated. So let's dive on into a few things. Number one, let's talk about the opportunity here behind Quant. So to a lot of people, when I talk about Quant, they think about one thing. They think about CBDCs. Because Quant, realistically speaking, is an enabler. It's an enabler for the CBDC, revolution happening with central banks. And that's a big no-no to a lot of people. But I want you guys to understand that CBDCs or not, it does not matter, okay? When we look at the US, for an example, this Trump administration has banned a CBDC. And this started when we heard Congress actually signing a bill to ban a CBDC, and I think that was maybe around like the beginning of the summer of 2024. You got to look into what they're actually banning. Are they banning the creation of a digital fiat currency creation, or are they just banning the term CBDC? Because every single nation will have their own stablecoin. There will be a digital dollar, there will be a digital euro, there will be a digital pound, a digital yen, etc. When we think about this, the term CBDC, it's completely exaggerated. We're going to have digital currencies around the world. It's happening. It's happening in real time. In fact, the US, even though they banned the term CBDC, they have been very supportive of US dollar denominated stablecoins. Why? Because it supports the US dollar and it puts them in a very dominant position around the digital system. But when we look at QNT and Quant, it's much bigger than just CBDCs. For an example, big shout out to Tokenizer here, we have some API integrations for QNT Overledger. Full legacy to DLT interoperability here, as we see various industry giants from payments, communications, and even CRMs, even programming languages are able to plug into the agnostic API gateway. We're talking about OpenAI, Salesforce, Stripe, Shopify, Snowflake, Notion, Microsoft Teams, Slack, AWS. This is what enterprise DLT adoption looks like, bridging the legacy industry giants with the future of all of DLT's capabilities. And yeah, listen, as we really look at the whole enabler side, outside of just CBDCs, what Quant's really enabling is the internet of value. I look at Quant as that foundation layer where it's, essentially bridging the Web 2 systems to Web 3. It's providing that bridge for everything to go over. Overledger itself is plug and play. It's all APIs, which means, if you look at RippleNet or Ripple Payments, if you will, that could easily be plug and played into Overledger API as well. And even when you look at some of the stuff that Quant has been doing with, for an example, like the UK, all of their stuff is centered around the API plug and play side of things. This is exactly how we get mass adoption of DLT. You have something like Overledger that's connecting everything. It's a connector and it's an enabler of this digital technology revolution. This is why I say it's so much bigger than just like CBDCs. But on top of this, right, if we look at what Quant is fully focused on, right, you have the digital currency side of things, which is, fully centered around tokenization as a whole, around tokenizing currencies, tokenizing deposits, tokenizing, debt, tokenizing basically anything that you could think about, okay? That's exactly what this is. All right, and this is all through Overledger as well. You can see exactly how they're doing this. They continue to push, products that are fully focused on the whole tokenization revolution underway, which it is happening. BlackRock's here. The biggest players out there that you could think about have been talking about tokenization. Even the big banks have been talking about it. But on top of that, you also have payments, because once you start to see, currencies being tokenized, well, now you have payments easily revolutionized. You could have cross-border payments done with digital currency, stablecoins, you name it. But also even the underlying ways of settling, transactions, that also changes. Regardless of if you're using digital currencies or not, everything will change. Quant's also focused on payments. But then you also have capital markets. Again, all of this is tokenized. We have as funds and the asset classes they invest in, including equities, fixed income, and alternatives, are tokenized. Issuers are connecting with ever larger pools of liquidity and new investors. And this is all through connecting these two worlds, DLTs, all connected with Web 2 markets. Quant is enabling this. And then last but not least, we also have supply chain. We know that trade finance is being revolutionized. We talk about it a lot with XDC. Supply chain is also the entire supply chain, life cycle is being completely revolutionized. Blockchain DLT, everything that is done on paper is going to be digital. It's going to be on chain. Again, Quant is the big player behind this. Regardless of what price action looks like today, I have always said that QNT, I am very comfortable locking up my QNT for the next 5-10 years. I don't really care to, look back on QNT or look at the price chart every single day for QNT. I mean, even if we look at Bitcoin, okay, and I just want to say this real quick. Bitcoin has ran off of the whole idea of it being a store of value. This is digital gold, they say, right? Well, when we look at QNT and when we look at Bitcoin, I understand that these are two completely different projects. When we look at QNT, though, it has 33% less supply. I've said this since day one. The utility side of QNT is much larger than Bitcoin in terms of the actual offering. And if we're thinking about how this space is changing to embrace the institutions, embrace the big banks, and even Bitcoiners, even though they say that the banks and the big players of Wall Street are the enemy, they have also openly embraced them, especially around Bitcoin ETFs. If we're thinking about that and we look at Bitcoin, okay, I just want you guys to understand that even Bitcoin, in its early days back here, you would have won the biggest by just buying and holding your Bitcoin, locking it away, coming back in 5 years and looking where it's at. I mean, even if we're looking at this back in 2013, if you locked it away, came back in 2018, sure, we might have been in a bear market, but you would have been very happy with what you had. Then if you would have waited a little bit longer, you would have been extremely happy. I look at QNT having a very similar run as well. It might not happen this cycle where, QNT goes to $5,000 or $10,000 per QNT, but I will say this. I do think that QNT will be worth over $10,000 per QNT. Why do I think this? Well, think about what's happening. Even recently, the Digital Pound Foundation put out a great post. The Bank of England and the HM Treasury are actively exploring the feasibility of a digital pound, a potential complement to physical cash in the UK, with growing interest in how this initiative could shape the future of money. We've written this blog to provide a clear factual overview of their progress and timeline. And here is the very quick summary. The design phase, 2025 to 2026, focuses on developing a comprehensive blueprint and conducting technical experiments. A decision on whether to proceed is expected in 2026 based on the digital pound's alignment with financial stability and inclusion goals. If approved, legislation and infrastructure development could see the digital pound launched in the late 2020s. Here's the progress. Public consultations have gathered input from businesses, academics, and the public. Key milestones include the Digital Pound Technology Working Paper and experiments like Project Rosalind, in which Quant Network, a founding member of the Digital Pound Foundation, played a pivotal role. Yeah, they were actually the enabler of API-based use cases whenever it came to digital currencies. When we are thinking about that, okay, I want you guys to understand that it's not just benefiting Quant. It's benefiting all of the players that are tied into Overledger, which means the XRP Ledger, XDC, Stellar could be tied in. Hedera could be tied in. Any integration into Overledger could be tapped in whenever it comes to any of those API use cases when it comes to digital currencies. Stakeholder forums continue to provide insights on privacy, offline payments, and technology requirements. And these are the collaborations as well. The Digital Pound Foundation supports the exploration of a digital pound by fostering dialogue between the public and private sectors, publishing thought leadership, and advocating for an inclusive and innovative approach to digital money. Our blog offers a detailed look at where the digital pound stands today, the steps that have been taken to evaluate its feasibility, and what lies ahead. From consultations to experiments and stakeholder engagement, this is your opportunity to get up to speed on one of the most significant developments in UK payments. And again, we know that Quant has been at the forefront of the UK market for years, since going all the way back to like 2020, 2019. And I bring this up because, again, if we're talking about like a $10,000 plus QNT, how do we get there? How do we get there? Well, how did Bitcoin get to the price that it is today? It has gotten to the price that it is today by having people buy it, simply. That's it. It's all marketing and buying of Bitcoin. We hear, Michael Saylor talking about why you need to hold Bitcoin. It's a store of value. It's digital gold. It's this, that. And we keep hearing this. Then you have the Bitcoin ETFs. Well, if we're thinking about that, all right, well, Bitcoin has gone to over $100,000 plus, hit a $2 trillion market cap off of just buy and hold it because it's digital gold and it's a store of value. Okay. Well, what could QNT hit if Overledger, and to use Overledger, you have to, hold a little bit of QNT, fees are typically paid in QNT or, cash equivalents, but typically QNT is a big driver behind it. We've gone over the utility side of QNT many times on this channel. You guys can go and watch previous videos or just do a little bit of research. There's a lot of utility around QNT. But if we're thinking about Quant being an enabler for the Web3 future and for the internet of value, essentially, and we see all this adoption coming from the central banks, from the institutions, you see tokenization of trillions and trillions and trillions on chain, what could QNT go to? And this is why I think that the $10,000, price target is actually pretty low. Now, again, when do we know that QNT is going to hit $10,000? We don't know. We have no idea when it's going to do so. But I do believe that QNT will be worth over $10,000 plus because of the utility, the supply, and the connections here. The fundamentals behind Quant are 10 times more bullish than majority of the space. And I don't even like to compare QNT to Bitcoin because, again, they're completely two different projects, completely two different, focus groups, if you will. But if we're talking about embracing the institutional side of things and the central banking side of things, what better project than Quant or QNT to hold when this is enabling the future of digital finance? This is why QNT is so bullish right now. This is why I do think that QNT is one of the best long-term holds this space has to offer. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because I'm a free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.